This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Without a healthy mind, being happy is hard. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny and see if online therapy is for you.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Kinda Funny Xcast, your home for all things Xbox here at Kinda Funny. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, Snowbike Mike, and today I am joined by my two gaming dads, my two favorite people here on planet Earth. Two guys that always bring me a lot of joy, a lot of smiles, and a lot of positive energy here in the gaming world. We'll first kick it off over to my guy, Gary Witta. Gary, you're looking good today. How are you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling good. Feels like it's been a while since we were all together. And obviously just before the show, Mike, we were all talking about how glad we all are to see that you got down off the mountain safely. Things are pretty dicey up there in Tahoe, but you're here in San Francisco safe and sound, and we're very pleased to see that.
Oh, thank you, Gary. I appreciate you, Barrett, the whole Kinda Funny team in Parris for, caring about me and taking care of me. It's been a wild week, and, we're going to kick off the show talking about that in just a moment. I have a fun little question we'll kind of turn a negative into a positive with, so I'll ask you guys a fun one. But Parris, Lily, welcome back. Of course, we didn't get to see you last week because you were hosting the Xbox at Gamescom live stream, and you and Kate did an incredible job along with the team. A lot of Xbox news last week, but we didn't get to live react with you, so congratulations, Parris. It's nice to see you again. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's good to be back. And, I did get to check out Xcast, and I appreciate all the kind words. Once again, fun. It was fun. A lot of fun to work with Kate, being able to host the Xbox Gamescom stream 2021, if I'm saying that right. I know I probably butchered the whole thing, but it's always fun. It's always a great experience being able to do that. And it was a lot different doing it the second time than the first time, where, I knew what to do. So I just hit the ground running. And like I said, it was a lot of fun. But I'm glad to be back. I know there was a lot of news that wound up coming out of Gamescom. And, I was just screaming at my television, wanting to comment, but I couldn't. But lucky enough, I did get to be a part of IGN's post show for opening night live. So I have some comments over there. But interesting week for Gamescom. That's for sure.
It's been an interesting week. And of course, you can check all of our live reactions over on youtube.com. So that's Kinda Funny Games. If you missed out on the live shows, if you just want to hang out with myself and the gang during our live reactions or our post podcast, of course, you have the Kinda Funny Xcast for the Xbox Gamescom live stream, and over with the Gamescom live reacts with Gamescast. So a lot of fun stuff over there. But the crew is finally back. It's been another week. We're heading into a long holiday weekend, and it's time to have some fun and celebrate some Xbox over here on the Kinda Funny Xcast. And yes, Gary alluded to it, talked about it at the beginning. Unfortunately, Northern California and Lake Tahoe had a big wildfire, and myself and the city of South Lake Tahoe had to be evacuated earlier this week on Monday. A big thank you to the Kinda Funny team, Kevin and Joey, for taking me in and allowing me to stay at their house along with the pugs for the time being. And guys, I'm going to take a moment really quick. It's a surreal experience. I think there's a lot of emotions, a lot of energy that goes into these natural disasters, these moments of, dire straits where you need to be evacuated. And it was wild. It was a wild ride, from scary to, somehow laughter to loneliness. I experienced everything as we went through this whole entire week. But one thing remained the same was knowing that there are so many hardworking men and women out there in that service industry that will go out and fight these fires, take care of people in need during these disaster moments. And I want to take a moment and thank you to everyone that works around the globe in these kind of situations and goes out there and brings just a little piece of relief, of sanity, of safety to people in need during these moments. And it was something really special to see my small town of South Lake Tahoe up in the mountains band together, evacuate in a safe, orderly fashion, take care of that. And also to see the hardworking men and women, like I brought up, kind of coax that fire away from the town and lead it over to the backside of one of our resorts and hopefully die out. It's currently 30% contained, so I might be able to go back home next week. We're hoping for the best, but thank you to everybody out there that did that. And like I said, it was a wild range of emotions, packing up my belongings and what is necessary, what's not necessary, what are the things that bring me so much joy that I couldn't live without. And thankfully, I kept up with the news along with my friends, and I had enough time to pack and really be ahead of schedule with that. And that's when I kind of want to bring in the fun factor, right? So I'm going to ask you guys a question. I want to know if we are in an emergency situation, everything was packed up, your family's safe, the dogs are safe, the cats are safe, and you had an extra couple of hours. What's that one piece of gaming love that you'd have to pack with you? So I want you two to think about it, because for me, I'll kick it off. Of course, you guys always see my fun little background I have if you're watching all of my awesome games up on the back end. But the one thing I couldn't live without, that was my original N64 that my mother bought us way back in the day. It was just something I looked at on the shelf and I said, man, that's a lot of memories. That is a lot of joy and love that we had, from Gauntlet Legends to NFL Blitz to Conker's Bad Fur Day. And I have to have this. And so I did my best to ensure that came with me. And so I think of like these gaming mementos, these moments in time, and you look back on, you're like, I just can't leave that. So Parris, I'll start with you. You have all the time in the world. What's that one piece of gaming memorabilia that you gotta have?
Oh, it's easy. I still have my original Legend of Zelda 64 Ocarina of Time. I have the box. I have the gold cartridge. It's just something that was a game that when you think about hype and everything that was happening, this was 1998, everything leading up to that was kind of for me, the original internet hyped game, and it actually surpassed the hype for me. And I just will always remember that moment in time. I remember going to that, I think it was EB Games at the time or whatever it was, at the mall, and standing in line because I had it pre-ordered, picked it up on my lunch. I went home and I wouldn't play it until it was dark. I didn't have kids at the time, nothing. I told my wife, I can't play until it's nighttime. And then I would play it at night, and it was just a magical moment. But I've always kept that disc because it's a gaming moment and a gaming memory that's meant a lot to me. I'll probably pull it out during the show or something. I got it right behind me. But yeah, that would be the thing I absolutely would have to take with me.
I love that. I like that, Parris. I like the backstory too as well. Gary Whitta, you've been through it all. You've seen it all. What's that one piece you got to have?
This is actually, you've touched on kind of a sad subject for me, Mike, because I kind of did go through this in real life many years ago when as you know, I'm an expat, born and raised in the UK, lived half my life there, now half my life here. When I first moved out from the UK to the US, I would have been let me think. I would have been about 23, 24 years old. I had to make a decision about what I was going to bring with me. You know, when you're moving across the world, it's not practical to ship, all your worldly belongings with you. So, I took, the practical things that I needed, and a lot of my legacy gaming hardware, the stuff that I grew up on, like in the UK, it would have been my Sinclair ZX Spectrum, my Commodore 64, my Commodore Amiga, and my game collections and my old game magazine, because I used to love reading those old games magazines. Those are such great nostalgia for me to read, to go through those. I had to leave almost all of that behind. I took only a small handful of stuff with me. A couple of issues of my favorite magazines that I had when I was a kid. I still kind of page through them when I'm feeling very nostalgic. And the one thing that I can remember that I took, and it is just like Parris, I could go grab it if I needed to. It's in the other room. Is my favorite Atari 2600 game, Berserk. I still have the original Atari 2600 cartridge that I played when I was a kid. If I can get practical with you, if I could take from a practical point of view, not a nostalgic, sentimental point of view, I would take probably one of the really nice gaming laptops that I have here, because I could do all my work on it. I could surf the web. I could do all the magic, all the work that I need to do. But, it's got an RTX 3070 in there as well. I could do the high-end gaming as well. If I'm thinking about what's one box that's going to do everything I need it to do and is portable, like a real nice gaming laptop is going to check all the boxes.
Gary, that's so well said too. When you think about that, and that's one, me, I love my xCloud. I'm so thankful that if everything went awful and I couldn't grab the Xbox, at least I have the xCloud there, because I could go out there and play on my phone and tablets. Parris, you just put up the Zelda gear right there. That's a good looking box and game cartridge, old school there.
Old school.
Damn, that's
Real
nostalgic right there.
Yeah.
seeing the
Hold on.
old
I'm going to
cartridges.
be right back. I got to see if I can get more old school. Hold on.
Go get it, Gary. Go get it. We're taking a moment to go
He can
take a
get more
trip down
old school,
memory
but he
lane.
can't
That's right.
top the OG Ocarina game cartridge right there. Come
Oh,
on.
but if he has an Atari 2600 cartridge, I
Oh.
mean, wow, you're really taking it back.
I was going to say, Parris, since I got you and he's going to grab that, what
Mhm.
was the best color cartridge you remember from way back in the day of the N64? Because that gold really stands out, right? Was there a certain cartridge that always caught your eye?
I mean, honestly, I would say it's probably this one. I mean, I would probably take it back to like the NES, and I would say, yeah, probably the original Zelda one, right? Because that was the first. That was the first gold cartridge that it stood out from the crowd. And I'm trying to remember, and the name's escaping me, but it was, I forget the company. It was a baseball game on the NES.
Okay.
And they had a colored cartridge as well. I want to say it was like green or something. I can't remember now, but those just kind of stick out in my mind as being different. But again, the original Zelda one obviously was the OG when it comes to that.
I'll give you a quick 3 before I see what Gary's got in his hand. Barrett, you're going to love one of this. Donkey Kong 64 was that kind of banana yellow gold.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
And then 2 more on the N64, I'll never forget, was a Madden, maybe 98, had Brett Favre, but it was a red cartridge. It looked really, really weird. And then Road Rash 64 was a black cartridge that I'll never forget. You didn't really get to see that like black or red or yellow. They were all kind of that gray color. So it was really cool to see a different color on those cartridges.
And shout out to Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I believe, was like blue.
Blue, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to the Donkey Kong 64 one. Shout out to my friend who I used to work with at IGN, Joshua Mobley, who got me the Japanese version of the Donkey Kong 64 like cartridge package, all that stuff for Christmas one year. Still have
And
that.
did that come with the extended memory? Like you had to put the extended memory in the N64.
Correct. Yep. The red
Let me see
expansion
if it's in
pack
the
is
box
right
here.
there.
I can open it up. It's right next to me. I don't think it did come with the extended memory. I don't know if it was something different with the Japanese version of the N64 or something like that. But yeah, I don't have an extended memory pack here. But I do remember that for the American version of having that extension pack.
And look, I know this is an Xbox show, but thinking about that extended memory, I know obviously Donkey Kong 64 used it, but wasn't it Star Fox as well? I think there was another game that used it as well. I know the Super Nintendo Star Fox did something different. It had something extra on the chip on the cartridge, so it could do some kind of weird 3D graphic. I can't 100% remember, but the 90s were wild. They were trying stuff. You had the Sega.
Oh yeah, the Rumble packs,
the 32X thing, and all that. Yeah.
Gary Whitta, what did you bring to the podcast here?
So I was a little bit concerned that I wasn't going to be able to back this up. You know how it is that you think you know where something is, and you go looking for it, and of course that's when you can't find it. But it was right. So not only do I want to show you, I've got a special bonus item that I know that you and Parris are both going to love. First of all, here it is. Here is Berserk.
Yeah.
For my camera's never going to find it. But here's Berserk for the Atari 2600, the original cartridge. You can see it's a little bit beat up. Copyright 1982. This is the game that I played the hell out of when I was 10 years old. So I still have it. This is the oldest game in my collection. Now I know my camera's flipped around, but you're going to recognize this right away. I got a little item. Since we're talking about nostalgia and this is an Xbox podcast, I got something that you are going to love. This is a very, very, very rare item. Very few people have one of these, but I got to bust it out. I have Halo for the Atari 2600.
What?
Wow, Gary, what the heck is that?
So you may remember that Ed Fries, who worked at Microsoft for many, many years and was one of the original architects of all that stuff, years after he left Microsoft, merely as a fan project, he coded and created a 2D retro version of Halo for the Atari 2600 that he made available digitally, but he also had manufactured a very, very small batch of limited edition. This is a real 2600 cartridge you can put in an Atari 2600 and play Halo on it. And I was very lucky enough, because I know Ed, he gave me one of these. Halo for the Atari 2600 right here in my hand, exclusively on the Xcast.
I did not know that existed.
Gary,
cool.
that is the coolest is right. Like Parris just said, I didn't even know that was such a thing, Gary. That's awesome.
It's pretty, and it's go find it on YouTube. It's a fully you know, I mean, it's Atari 2600, right? So it's very, very basic, but there's a little kind of pixel blob Master Chief running around shooting aliens. It looks exactly what you'd imagine. Even has like the Atari 2600 version of the theme tune. He really did do it. I think just as like an exercise in like, could you even do this? Like, what would Halo on the 2600 even look like? Well, he
here
figured
it
it out,
is.
and he made that game. Oh, you found it?
Yeah, for all of our viewers
There it
out
is.
there, if you're
There it
watching
is.
on YouTube, Barrett has it live on your screen. So if you're
Well
an
done,
audio
Barrett.
listener, go look it up on YouTube. I mean, there it is.
Isn't
That's
that cool?
Master Chief is right.
Isn't that cool?
That's hilarious.
That's wild. What a good pull right there, Gary. And a fun way to kick off the episode. Of course, we are back with another Kind of Funny Xcast. Down in the comment section down below, let me know if you had all the time in the world, you had to leave your home. What's that one gaming piece of memorabilia that you got to have with you? Let us know down in the comments. But guys, let's get into the show. Let's kick it off. Let's talk about some things. But first, let me run you through some housekeeping news. Of course, this is the Kind of Funny Xcast. We post each and every Saturday at 6 a.m. West Coast, Best Coast time on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and on Rooster Teeth and podcast services around the globe. No matter where you're listening, no matter where you're watching, thank you for just tuning in. Thank you for sharing the love of Xbox and all things video games with myself and the team here at Kind of Funny and Parris, Gary, and Barrett. It truly means the world for us to have your support and you guys hang out with us. So thank you for writing in. Thank you for watching, listening, leaving positive comments. It really is rocking and awesome. Shout out to all of our Patreon producers for the month of September. Thank you to Tyler Ross, the Kind of Funny Destiny 2 PC clan. That was for you, Parris, right there. I thought you might smile at that one. Shout out to Julian, the gluten-free gamer, Alex J. Sandoval, Techie Haas, James Hastings, Casey Andrew, Elliot, and Brian Ward. Of course, this week, the Kind of Funny Xcast is sponsored by Purple Mattress, Upstart, and Fitbod, but the team will tell you about that a little bit later. Let's jump in, guys, and have some fun talking about Xbox. And this week, we got a lot, right? We had a weird week last week where we reacted to the Gamescom live stream, and we had a longer week of no news into this for us to talk about. And I want to know what you guys have been playing. I want to talk about smart delivery. I want to talk about Xbox exclusivity. So let's kick off with what we've been playing first, and then we'll talk about the news of the week. So it's been a long week. Psychonauts 2 is out, and Barrett has 100%ed it, not only twice, but now has platinumed it over on Sony as well. Barrett, why don't you break down some Psychonauts 2 for me and the gang? We'll join the conversation. Let's celebrate this awesome game.
Yeah, like, I got it. Sorry, for audio listeners there. Yeah, Psychonauts, I was not expecting to fall in love with this universe as much as I did this year. Obviously, with finally playing the first game fully this year to prepare for the second one, because the trailers that had been coming out for the last few years, I was like, man, this seems like a really cool world to exist in. And you know, we previewed Psychonauts 2 a little over a month ago. And from our previews, we were like all really impressed by what the second game had to offer. And even at the end of my first playthrough, which took about 20 hours for me to 100% and find everything, I still just wanted to exist in this world, especially with Psychonauts 2, this game specifically. It's just so damn creative, a really fun 3D platformer collectathon mixed in with a really great story, really charming characters, and art style that I know has been a hot topic of conversation of people saying it just looks like a really good PS2 game. But for me personally, I think it looks very pretty with a very distinct art style that may not be for everybody, but to me harkens to like Leica Studios kind of stuff, and almost like Tim Burton kind of like just like weird early 2000s Cartoon Network art style kind of stuff that like definitely speaks to me. And yeah, it's just all of that wrapped up in a great story, really fantastic commentary on mental health and the steps of healing from with mental health. And it's just, I think, one of the more like creative, almost like on that AAA level games this year that comes together in such a way that just like for me right now, nothing comes close to it for game of the year. There are a lot of fantastic games that will definitely like be hot contenders on my top 10 list, but for me, this is by far the best game that I've played this year.
Game of the Year contender. Personally, I think I've seen you tweet a little bit about Psychonauts and that kind of saying right there. Do you still hold that same sentiment a couple weeks later after beating it?
Absolutely. I mean, Barrett pretty much nailed everything, just kind of the overall sentiment about Psychonauts 2. It absolutely is one of the best games of the year. Look, I'm going to wave my death's door flag, but Psychonauts 2 is easily up there. Jeff Keighley will be talking about this at the end of the year and what Double Fine has done. I personally think this is probably the best game they've ever made, in my opinion. I don't know if this is a combination of them being a part of Microsoft Game Studios now, given the extra time, maybe additional. But I mean, remember, Tim even said it here on the show. They were able to add more bosses into the game that they did not think they would be able to do. So all of that kind of was always going through my head as I was playing this, like just some of the levels. Like, dude, to me, and again, I'm not going to really try and spoil this or the ending or anything, because I absolutely think people need to go through this journey. But kind of towards the middle-ish, endish part of the game, when you're basically getting Ford's brain back together and you're having to do all those different missions. But the one when you get the brain and then you wind up going into him, so he finds out who he is, and you got to quote unquote put the band back together, and the level with all the eyes and then the psychedelic stuff that goes with that. My God, I was just so in love with that entire sequence of everything. And then the aftermath of that, kind of what Barrett is saying about the mental health aspects and discovering who you are, and loss and love and just everything that they were telling in this game. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. And I absolutely adored it. And then you even think about just some of the gameplay mechanics that you'll have with some of the boss encounters. There, we did this in the preview, but Compton's Cook-Off, doing that again, I was stressed all over again doing that, right? Like there's the one level when you're on the bowling balls and you have to go through. I loved all that stuff. It was such a great combination of story aspects, gameplay, the abilities that you're able to upgrade and use in fun ways. I mean, it's absolutely, this is a game of the year thing. And to one thing that Barrett was saying, I know some people have criticized, the quote unquote visuals, comparing it to PlayStation 2 or whatever. My response to that is, so what? Who cares if that's what you think? I thought the art style was great. But even if it isn't a visual showcase, that isn't what makes a game great. I think if you take everything else that we just talked about with this game, Gary could go get Ed Freeze to make Psychonauts 2 in Atari 2600 and you would still love it, because it isn't about the visuals. It's about what Double Fine was able to take that first game and continue that and add on it and enhance it, is what's so great about it. And like we talked about before, you don't have to play the first one to enjoy this one. I think they've done a great job of making this an entry point into the Psychonauts world. You're going to fall in love with Raz and all these different characters. It was great. Absolutely loved it. Not going to say game of the year. I'm going to say game of the year contender, because you know what my favorite is.
All right.
And Death's Door was up there for me, Parris. But it was really the thing that really honed this in was just the story and going into everybody's world and getting everybody's different take on like view of like anxiety, depression. There's a level called Bob's Bottles that like kind of really hit home and was something I was not expecting to see in this game. And it's just every single level is so creative and unique, and visuals, music. I want to shout out, because I don't think that's something I've talked about enough when talking about this game on shows, is just how every level has such a unique style when it comes to music as well. Like each track is like almost like a banger after banger in different aspects as well. And yeah, it's just every aspect. It's just something that I was super in love with. Even the Collectathon stuff, which did have me pulling my hair a couple of times when trying to find every figment for two specific levels. The level that Parris mentioned earlier, naturally, because that level is just very colorful, so it's hard to have figments pop out. And then the Bob's Bottles level as well, where that starts off on like kind of like a mini like ocean filled planet in that area. I was definitely struggling in finding everything. There's some sneaky figments in there where when I found like some of the hard to get ones, I yelled out loud "fuck off," but also like smiling and laughing because I love that collectathon bullshit. Yeah, it was just it's just been a damn delight. Yeah, some of those special moments about halfway through the game, like that was like that moment, that level that you were talking about earlier, Parris, that was like right before that was when I was like, I think I'm about to hit a lull in this game, and because I forget like what level
yeah, I know what you mean.
And I forget what level I'd done before that, because that kind of part of the game you can kind of go in any order that you want for those specific like 4 or 5 levels it is. And so yeah, like I'd done one, I was like, all right, like that was cool, and I'm really digging it. I feel like I'm about to hit a lull. I don't know what it is, and I forced myself to like keep playing, and that next level was the Psy King level. And
it was funny. Oh, sorry.
No.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just going to say it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember for me, before I hit that was when I went to the forest and I was doing a lot of the side stuff with his family.
Yeah,
and not necessarily my favorite parts of the game, right? Like, look, there's obviously some stuff later that makes it more relevant, but I'm like you. I was like, it's kind of slowing down. But then I went and did that, and it was like, whoa. Then it was just like you said, the music during that part was so good.
I just love that whole like fucking like Summer of Love 60s like music festival vibe. It was so good.
Yeah, it was so good. One other thing to point out, just before I forget, is I was actually up in Seattle when we got the review codes for this to do the Xbox show. So I took my Series S with me, and I was actually playing this starting off in the hotel up in Seattle. And when I got home, I jumped on PC, Xbox Play Anywhere, all my progress right on over. Then I would play on the Series X, follow me right over to there. So it was this was a great example of that future that they're talking about with cloud saves and how it works. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on, you keep your progress and keep it going. And it was funny, like even I did something on the Series X, and then I stopped and immediately went on the PC and did like a whole bunch of new progression. And then I went back to the Series X, and the Series X even warned me that, hey, there's newer save data in the cloud. You want to use that instead of using the locally saved data that it had on the Series X. So it's actually pretty smart in that way too. So that's just another thing, obviously outside of the game, but to kind of show you the technology that Xbox is using right now with their cloud save technology definitely works.
That was really impressive too. That was my first experience with that ever since getting the Series S. I haven't utilized a lot of games that like have that capability. So yeah, it was dope to like play on PC and then realize like, oh, I got to go run a show, so let me like save and close out. And then like later I'd be like exporting something on my PC, but like wanting to play Psychonauts. So like, oh, let me just like load it up on the Series S. Like that same file from a couple hours ago was on there. It's like, damn, this is really cool. This is definitely like this is like the first moment this gen where I've like really felt like I've been a part of the future when it comes to how games should be managed with that aspect. So that was a really cool thing to experience. And it was one thing I want to shout out to with the 3 different versions that I've played Series S, PC, and PS5. And I will say, like, of course, the PS5 version is just the PS4 backwards compatibility mode. But I do think PS5 definitely has still some enhancements. And that game just looks, to me at least, looks good, like, wherever I play it. I know Blessing, who started playing it on PS5, wasn't really feeling it, especially with some of the load times there. But I was really impressed with, like, the difference between Series S and PC. I was like, man, they really like utilize the optimization for Series X/S, because like, yeah, there's like some things that look a little crisper on PC, but both versions I felt like on the Xbox side of things was really damn impressive. And even PS5 like running at 60 frames per second, 1440p upscaled to 4K and stuff, like playing that on my OLED was really damn pretty to play too.
Gary, I wanted to hear from both of them on Psychonauts 2, because that's a game that brings me a lot of joy, and I'm really enjoying playing it. But you and I know you've been playing some Aliens Fireteam Elite, and I need to know where you're standing on that game. Is this hot or not, Gary?
I gotta tell you, I don't think it's going to be on anyone's. I don't think it's going to be in the Game of the Year conversation this year. The reviews on it were kind of mixed, but personally, if you at the end of when the time comes for me to write down or think about my list of the games that I enjoyed playing most this year, Aliens Fireteam Elite is going to be right up there. I've probably got about 30 hours in right now. I've been playing both on the Xbox and on the PC with a variety of friends. We've got like a group, like 6 or 7 of us that play now, so we can always put together a 3-person fire team whenever we want. We're almost done with the campaign, and then there's when you finish the campaign, it unlocks a horde mode, a traditional Gears of War style horde mode that you can play. It looks great. It sounds great. I think it captures the feel of the James Cameron, Ridley Scott Aliens universe, particularly that second movie, that Cameron movie with the Colonial Marines and the whole thing. It just does everything really, really well. The combat feels good. The weapons are great. It's just a really, really fun game to play. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it if you're playing by yourself and you're relying on playing with the bots or with public matchmaking, because that's always a shit show, in any game. But if you've got a couple of people that you can roll with regularly and put together a fire team for $40, I honestly think, for me, it was one of the best surprises of this year. And we've still got to finish it. I can't wait to play again. Every time I played it, I've just had a blast playing it. Really cool surprises. You play a couple of missions. You think, I get what this is. I understand. I'm going to shoot some aliens, but then it throws something else at you. There's a little twist in the story. Now you're fighting like a different kind of enemy. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but it keeps you guessing, keeps you interested. If you like that Left 4 Dead, World War Z, Back 4 Blood style, co-op horde type shooter, I think it's one of the better examples of that kind of game. Really, really like it.
Yeah, Gary, I'm actually having a good time with it too. I think at first I kind of knocked it, and then as we kept going through those campaigns, I had more and more fun. And I look forward to, on the nightly now, teaming up with my squad and going out and slaying some aliens, which is really, really cool to say. And I've been enjoying it as well. $40 price point could be talked about there, but all in all, if you have a crew and you're looking for a game to play with your squad, this could be a fun time as well. But let's move into some Xbox talk. Parris, you brought up a marketing buzzword, play anywhere. And this week on gaming Twitter and gaming social circles, it's all about marketing buzzwords. And are they real or are they fake? What do they actually mean? And smart delivery is the hot topic of the week, because when we look over on the other side, if you're playing over on your PlayStation, you've probably seen the Horizon Forbidden West update and what happens with the PS4 and PS5 versions, and if you will get the free upgrade or if it is something you have to buy. And smart delivery became the big topic of the week. And I think that's one of those I want to kind of talk with you guys about. It's like, is this just a marketing tool? Is this for real, Parris? Are we as Xbox gamers actually experiencing something really, really special? And is this something that we'll see moving forward into the next generation and everywhere might use this technique? So I'll kick it with you because there's a lot going on to this. And I feel like, I have a smirk on my face and I know everybody else is smirking because we know exactly what this conversation is going to be, but it's live happening right in front of us right now.
I'll simply start it off by saying this. Xbox got a lot of flack at the start of, like a year ago this time. They were getting a lot of flack for two things. Saying that they were going to basically support cross-gen games, for the next year to 18 months or whatever exactly Matt Booty said. And the marketing term smart delivery, which basically meant that you buy a game once, whether you get it on the Xbox One, the cloud, wherever you want. If there's an upgraded version that'll go to the Series X and the S, you get it, you're good. Turns out they were right about both. Look, this is an Xbox show, but bringing PlayStation into it, the stuff with Horizon Forbidden West is just simply disappointing. It is. To me, and I've said this many times, that has been my most anticipated game for a while. So after Gamescom knowing it was coming in February 2022, I was excited for it. I am fortunate enough to have a PlayStation 5. Spend $70, get it, I'll be good to go. But we know how hard it is to get a next-gen console right now. There's no guarantees people are going to have a PlayStation 5 in February when they want to get this game. So they may be starting it on PlayStation 4, which is fine. You do it, spend your $60, you go play it. Let's say I get a PlayStation 5 a month later. Now it's a shit show because I would have had to spend $80 to guarantee I had a PlayStation 5 version. There's no reasonable upgrade path for me to go from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, make sure I keep my saves, the whole thing. Smart delivery eliminates all of that. And that's kind of the whole point here. Look, I'm sure PlayStation, they've seen all the community feedback on this. I would guess by the time we get to February, they're going to change this. That's just my guess. But the fact that Microsoft had the foresight, or Xbox had the foresight to come up with the marketing term smart delivery, but it actually works, is kind of the big thing here, where you've not heard any of these complaints with any of their cross-gen games. Once there's an optimized version for it on Xbox, it's there. You get it. You go play it. Like I think, as an example, at the top of my head, Forza Horizon 4 was an early one with that, where it got the optimized version. I look like, oh, wait, there. Jedi Fallen Order is a more recent one I'm thinking about right now. That's a third-party game where they optimized it. Boom, smart delivery. You're good to go on the Series X. You don't even have to think about it. So, got to give them kudos for that, because they talked about it, they stood firm, and works.
It's so interesting, Parris, because you brought it up like a year ago. We were talking about these marketing buzzwords, right? And we were hearing the sizzle reel of Xbox velocity architecture. We were talking about smart delivery. We were talking about an ecosystem where you could play anywhere. And I don't know what it is, Parris. I feel like maybe people don't want to think about the future in that way, or they're not ready for change, or they don't want to understand and adopt to these things. But when you actually feel it and live it, right? Like we just did from November to here, where games transferred over, you plugged in your old SSD hard drive and it just worked, right? And it's just all of a sudden every game is playable. And then you're getting optimization patches. You don't have to pay an extra $10 or $20, whatever that may be. And it's just like, it works. And this team put a lot of effort into making it work and making the user side so easy and understandable. And it's wild. Now we sit here on the opposite side and you kind of scratch your head and you think, man, what is that? Like you said, I think the other companies will look around and say, okay, this is what the community wants. This is what our fan base needs. And this is what we need to do. And it's interesting to see if this will be something that happens in the future. And this will just become the new normal, right? Because we know, like you said, right? Who knew that we were still going to be playing old gen games 2 years after release? I think we all did, right? We've seen it before. There's always going to be cross gen games. It's going to happen. And here we are living it. But the Horizon one was pretty interesting. Gary, I know you love smart delivery. You love all this, and you smile big because you know you get to be at the forefront of just enjoying the best of gaming. I mean, is this a head scratcher that people are getting uptight about?
No, I don't think so at all. It's an Xbox podcast, so you know, anytime we have the opportunity to kind of stick the boot into Sony, we're going to do it. You know, we'll have some fun with it. You know, I've accused me of being a fanboy or partisan or tribal. I bought 2 PlayStation 5s. I like my PlayStation 5 a lot. I'm with you and Parris on this. We go where the good games are. We try not to be too, tribalistic about it or whatever. But I think from a fairly objective standpoint, you can make the argument that Xbox has done certain key things better than PlayStation so far this generation. Game Pass, what Sony doesn't have an offering, I think, that is as compelling as that. The memory upgrade, Sony has less memory out of the box, and no easy upgrade path. To upgrade it. It's still that's been a joke for a while now. The thing with the heat sinks and the thermal paste and what have you. And now we have this, right? Smart delivery. And Parris made a really good point. I was thinking about this today, thinking, well, how important is it really that you get both a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 5 version of the game? But Parris just sold me on the reason why. We are in this cross-generational transition period right now, and it's taken a while to transition because even the people who want a PlayStation 5 or indeed a Series X can't go get them on the shelves because, they sell out the second they're available. So, the scenario is not difficult to imagine. Come February, when Horizon becomes available, the new Horizon game, there's every chance it's going to be hard to find that PlayStation 5 you really want to play it on. So you don't wait. You go grab it now with, I think, a realistic hope, a realistic expectation that when you can get a PlayStation 5, the copy of the game that you bought and paid good money for will magically turn into the PlayStation 5 version, just like it does with smart delivery on the Xbox. I was reading something on Kotaku, I think, the other day about this massive, very confusing plethora of, I think it was 7 different SKUs they have for Horizon. There's a super duper edition with a mammoth statue, but there's also a super duper duper edition with an even better mammoth statue. And I don't care about that stuff. Like the people that want that kind of stuff and don't have kids and have room for that shit in their house, they're going to figure out which version of it they want. I don't even want a physical game anymore. I just want the digital game. But even on the digital side, again, there is this issue with, well, you get it now. If you want the PlayStation 5 version later, it's not even clear at this point how that's going to work. Is there going to be an additional fee? Is it going to be that $20 difference? We don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty, and it's not helpful. When EA does this, or when 2K does it, and they've been perpetuators of this kind of stuff in the past, I understand there's a third parties, but this is a first-party Sony game. They control this, and so there's an opportunity for them here to make the upgrade path simple and clear and sympathetic to the fact, as Parris, again, he nails it, that a lot of people that want to play that PlayStation 5 version on day one simply will not have the opportunity to. They could have the $600 in their hands, but they ain't playing it because it's the shelves are empty, the cupboard is bare. And so what are those people going to do? Are they going to, this could hurt sales. Are these people going to hold off and wait to buy Horizon until they can get their hands on PlayStation 5 hardware or not? Whether or not Sony listen or not, I don't know. Clearly, there has been a very, very big backlash to this. I think rightly so. I think this is a really unfair proposition, a confusing proposition that Sony are making to their customers right now with, well, one of the biggest and surely what will be one of the most biggest and most popular games exclusive to PlayStation as we go into 2022. And there are a lot of people out there that aren't going to want to wait, but aren't going to want to have to worry about, well, am I going to have to buy the game all over again because I might still playing it. I might still be playing it in 6 months from now. There's going to be DLC. That game's going to have a long lifespan. I don't want to have to buy this game twice. If you can't at least make the hardware available, on day one for people to make the choice which version they're going to get, at least have some kind of safety net for those people so that there's a clear and a clearly understood upgrade path for those people so they can buy the game on day one with some sense of security that they're not going to get screwed and having to buy it again down the road.
I don't like to feed into the fanboyism and the console warfare, because we've always talked about, you play games where you want to play games, you have fun, right? But there's one thing that always grinds my gears, Parris Lilly, and I got to get it out. And that is, thanks to smart delivery, I always play the best version of the game every time I click on it. There is no questions. There is no, oh, am I playing an old gen version or am I playing a new gen version? Every time I turn on my PlayStation 5, there's the question of, why is this the PS4 version? Or why am I even wondering if I'm playing this version or that version? Why am I on stream and people are typing to me, is he even on the PS5 version? I don't know why it seems so hard on the opposite side over with Sony to figure that out, because it's clear, like you said, Xbox and Microsoft have figured out this awesome solution called smart delivery. They ensured that I'm always playing the right version and it just works seamlessly. But for some reason, I'm playing the PS4 version of Spider-Man. I'm questioning if I even have the right Ghost of Tsushima director's cut, because it's in my head now that I could be doing the wrong one. And that's one that grinds my gears. And I think when I look over at Xbox, I'm always so happy. I see the optimization patch. It gets optimized if it's an older gen game, and it looks pretty and it's perfect. And I always know when I click on it, it's going to run and it's going to be the right version. It's just one of those head-scratching moments for me. I'm like, what is up with that? And why did it never become so clear over on that side?
Yeah, I mean, they clearly have to clean that up, because I've run into the same problem on the PlayStation 5 where I'm thinking, wait, it's the PS4 version. No, I want the newer version. But, going back to what I was saying at the top, yeah, I mean, smart delivery. Like, I would love to have Jason Ronald on again to kind of really talk about the tech behind that, how that works. But, on the back end, they're smart enough. It's smart enough to understand, all right, you're on this piece of hardware, you need this version of it, and it updates accordingly, and you're able to get it. And, when we factor in Play Anywhere, you don't have to worry about your saves not transferring over. All that stuff is there, ready for you to go, no matter which platform you're on.
No doubt.
This episode is brought to you by Purple. Sometimes it feels like the world's against you getting a good night's sleep, whether it's the heat, anxiety, or your neighbors who like to party on a Tuesday. But a Purple mattress helps you sleep cool and comfortable no matter what the world throws at you. Only Purple mattress has the grid. It's a unique ventilated design that lets air pass through no matter how hot it is outside. I love Purple, and I have for a very long time. I have the Purple pillow that features the grid, and let me tell you, it is the best pillow. It is the only pillow I will ever use going forward because it's always cool. It's always how I want it to be, and I only need one pillow. Used to be a 2-pillow guy, now just one. Purple is comfort reinvented. Right now, you'll get 10% off any order of $200 or more. You can try your Purple mattress risk-free with free shipping and returns, and there's financing available. Purple is comfort reinvented. That's purple.com/kindafunny10. Promo code kindafunny10 for 10% off any order of $200 or more. Purple.com/kindafunny10. Promo code kindafunny10. Terms apply. Again, that is purple.com/kindafunny10. Use promo code kindafunny10. Next up, shout out to Fitbod. When you're in a workout rut and bored with your exercise routine, it gets easier to skip a day and quickly get off track. That's why Fitbod made a fitness program that continually adapts to how you're progressing so you stay challenged and motivated to achieve your goals. Their algorithm uses data and analytics to help you build on your last workout to maximize your results. Gia's been doing this. She's been keeping track using Fitbod of all of her health and all of her different progression when it comes to exercise and all that stuff. She's been loving it. She's been looking fantastic. Good for her. Everybody, show her some love. Fitbod workouts are balanced to avoid overworking muscles with varied exercises to keep you sharp because there's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all workout. Pick up the pace on your fitness journey with Fitbod today, and your future self will thank you. You can get 25% off your membership at fitbod.me/KFgames. That's 25% off at fitbod.me/KFgames. fitbod.me/KFgames. And finally, shout out to Upstart. Do your palms sweat just thinking about your credit card statement? You're not alone. Upstart can help you get back on the right path. Upstart's the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, all online, whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses. Over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Upstart knows you're more than just your credit score. That's why they consider your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/kindafunny. That's upstart.com/kindafunny. Don't forget to use this URL to let them know that we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/kindafunny. Upstart.com/kindafunny to find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today.
Well, let's talk about some more console stuff going on. I like to avoid this on the show and look at the positives, but there's another question again out there, everybody. Is Starfield exclusive? Are Bethesda games exclusive? That seems to be another social media question. It's a burning question, Parris and Gary. They have to know if it's exclusive. Tell me if it's exclusive.
Did this resurface? Why are we still talking about this?
It did. There was some social media nonsense about this that unfortunately forced Pete Hines and Aaron Greenberg to actually have to address it again. And I will say, as someone who stood on an Xbox stage and those words have literally come out of my lips where I said it myself, Starfield is exclusive, to the Xbox platform. I don't even know why this is a thing at this point. We've obviously debated this for a while on the show as well until it was official. They spent the $7 billion. Bethesda is a part of Microsoft Game Studios. All of their new games moving forward will be exclusive to Xbox. I don't even think there's a debate at this point. But I think, Gary, where it came up was because Pete Hines and Aaron Greenberg were on a Gamescom stream. I think it was a Bethesda Germany Gamescom stream. But anyways, Pete Hines was just kind of talking about the way, Bethesda in a relationship. And I guess the question came up where he was talking about things that he didn't particularly know. And he goes, this isn't necessarily the end of you seeing Bethesda games on other platforms. But what he was alluding to was the fact that you saw the Quake announcement. There was a Skyrim 10-year anniversary. It goes back to what Phil Spencer said, I think in March, that, you will see legacy titles show up on platforms that they've already existed on. They're not going to take those away. And that's pretty much what he was alluding to. But that got spun into, there's still hope that Starfield may come to the PlayStation someday. And it's like, no, it's not. Let's not give people false hope for that. So they got out in front of it right away and said, no, it's exclusive, to the Xbox platform.
Yeah, it's a interesting one, Parris, and I'll play the devil's advocate, and I'll be the role of the host of asking everybody more questions. But like, do you think they've made a clear enough message? Like, truly and honestly, have we ever seen a blog post that just writes Bethesda games are exclusive forever? Like the people mix these words up and they're able to chop them up and look at differently. Do you feel like Xbox and the team have actually come out and given like, here's the blanket statement, forever enjoy it?
See, to me, I think since E3, since the Xbox Bethesda showcase and then the extended one, I think they've been pretty crystal clear. Now, I even said when Phil Spencer originally talked about this back in March, he kind of left some wiggle room there with the way that he worded things. But I think since that point, they've been pretty definitive. Redfall is an Xbox exclusive. Starfield is an Xbox exclusive. Things like Skyrim, the 10-year anniversary, they're not going to take games away from platforms they already existed on. To me, they've been pretty crystal clear. And then what Aaron Greenberg and Pete Hines said on Twitter the other day was pretty definitive. Really, Aaron was definitely definitive a couple times that this is exclusive to the Xbox platform. I mean, I don't know how,
the thing is,
way you can say it.
I really don't want to open up a can of worms here, but things are exclusive until they're not, right?
Right.
If you'd have asked me, if you'd have said to me 20 years ago that one day in the future I'd be playing Sonic the Hedgehog games on Nintendo, I would have laughed in your face. But that's the reality of Sega basically went away, got out of the hardware business, and now you can play Sonic games on a number of different platforms. And I don't really understand what sense it would make for Microsoft to say this will be forever, because nothing is forever. Maybe 10, 15 years from now, they do put it on the PlayStation 8 or whatever. Who knows?
Well,
but unless you've got really, 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 really long attention span, and you're willing to wait in the tall grass, for like geologic time for something to come to your platform, like when it's a completely different reality. I think in every meaningful way, you can assume that Starfield is going to be not, there's no like timed exclusive here. It's fully exclusive, and maybe something changes like in a different era, decades down the road, but in any meaningful way, if you can forget about Starfield on the PlayStation.
Well, I'll be a devil's advocate to your devil's advocate and say you're right, because let's be real here. If there was some miracle 5 years from now that PlayStation said, you know what, we will allow Game Pass on here, every Microsoft Game Studio game will be on PlayStation, because Phil Spencer did say this. Bethesda games will live where Game Pass lives, and that includes all of their first party games. So if PlayStation, Nintendo, or whatever big platform, Steam Deck, whatever you want to think of, says you can natively put Game Pass on our hardware, Microsoft's going to do it, because they're trying to bring that stuff everywhere possible. They're not saying, well, we're going to exclude a piece of hardware. If PlayStation's open to it, they're going to do it. So in that sense, you're 100% right, Gary. It's not forever, because if they put Game Pass on there, they're going to do it. But and
you can think about other kind of white swan cases, like Microsoft. In 10 years, Microsoft gets out of the console business, and they don't make Xboxes anymore. And Bethesda, has all this IP sitting around or whatever, and they decide, well, listen, we're done. We may as well sell this stuff on to someone who might. Well, there's all kinds of crazy. These are the same people who think that Roy Kent is a computer-generated character. These people are like completely off the deep end. The conspiracy theorists out there. These are the people that keep the internet turning. God bless them. But no, come on, down here on planet Earth, forget about it.
They keep my social feeds hot, Gary. They keep my social feeds constantly hot, and it's always fun. But two over there, of course, I hope you truly are, if you're listening or watching, enjoying smart delivery, because it is the future and it freaking rocks. So shout out to that team. And Jason Ronald and the team, if you ever want to come by again and talk about smart delivery, you want to talk about the Play Anywhere and how those saves go around in the cloud, we'll always have you on to go more in depth, because we love getting nerdy and talking about the awesome tech that they're going on with. But let's keep it moving. Guys, there's a couple things I want to talk to you, and each one is actually tailored to you. So I'll start off with Parris Lilly. Parris Lilly, Windows 11 releases on October 5th, and it's touting to be the best Windows experience for gaming ever. I'm talking DirectX 12 Ultimate, Direct Storage, and Auto HDR, and so much more. You're my PC guy. Should I be amped up for October 5th?
Ask me next week because I will break news right here and say that I just installed Windows 11 on my other PC. And
Okay.
I'm gonna start playing around with it here over the next week or so. But I did see the news that came out October 5th, and this is the best OS ever for gaming, things like that. I actually tweeted that day because while that all sounds great, my not concern, but actually is kind of a concern. I've been in IT a long time. People are going to be very slow to adopt Windows 11 because there's absolutely nothing wrong with Windows 10. There's going to be driver issues, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be all these things early days. So I don't think Windows 11 is going to be a viable thing that people, I got to upgrade on October 5th and it's going to enhance my gaming experience day one. I would be very hesitant to do that personally because I want to make sure that it's a very stable platform before I completely invest into it and dedicate myself to it. Like I don't see me really making Windows 11 my primary driver probably till mid 2022 at the earliest, because I want to make sure the drivers, I just want to make sure everything's good to go before I actually invest. And the average person, what do they care? If their PC is working as intended, they're going to keep doing what works. Why would you upgrade to Windows 11 and potentially compromise your workflow because something isn't working correctly? So that's just the IT guy in me, that I'm always skeptical of that stuff. I mean, we'll obviously see. Like I said, I'm going to play around with it myself so I can get a better idea for it. Maybe something changes my mind. I doubt it, to be honest with you, because I'd rather see the final product than the judge of beta. But I do want to play around with it. I do want to see, because what is it? You're going to get thinking gaming specifically, you're going to get auto HDR. It's going to take advantage of direct storage, and it's doing something else gaming wise. And I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but I want to play around with it. I want to see. I'll say, since I'm already talking, if I've had a critique of Xbox as far as being on Windows and as far as their PC gaming initiative, they have to fix this Xbox app. They have to. And I think I think of a game like The Ascent as a primary example of this. The Steam version of The Ascent was vastly superior to the Xbox version for 2-3 weeks before they finally got it on par with what it was doing on Steam, because it was basically just emulating what it was doing on the console. As a PC gamer, you want to take advantage of DLSS. You spend all this money on this PC and you got the fancy GPU and all that stuff. You want DLSS. You want to do ray tracing. You want all the benefits of being a PC gamer. And if the Xbox app is not able to deliver that, people aren't going to want to choose that. And then when you factor in Game Pass, because obviously they want you to subscribe to Game Pass, my hesitation is going to be, well, why would I want to get the Xbox Game Pass app version? I might as well just buy the Steam version if it's going to be better. So if they want the Xbox, the Windows Store, so to speak, to compete with what Steam is doing and even the Epic Store, they got to get on par. It's just simply not there yet. And, and even Psychonauts, I had some problems, with it as far as that goes, where I know they've updated that recently, but I hope that problem doesn't happen with Halo, things like that as we move forward, especially as they want to have more third-party games as a part of Game Pass PC. If the third-party version is better on Steam, I want to go play it on Steam. I don't want a half-baked version. Control is another example of this as well. The Xbox app version of Control is vastly inferior to the version that I would get on the Epic Store or Steam. They got to fix that and make it day and date on par with
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Parris. I actually had a similar experience with this just last night with Tetris Effect Connected. My wife and I were trying to play with a friend. My preference was to play. My wife's on the Xbox. I'm on my gaming laptop, and we're all, because it's crossplay, we can all play together. My preference was to play on the Game Pass version because that has all my progress and all my avatars and everything from when I play on Xbox. But the PC version of it on the Xbox app is just janky, and it just doesn't. There's too many fiddly issues with it. I went and grabbed the Steam version instead. All issues solved immediately.
Exactly.
So it's clearly something that they need to. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but it's clearly a problem that needs to be solved. It does make me worry a little bit about Halo Infinite. My preference when that comes out is going to be to play it on PC, mouse and keyboard. I have a more power. My Xbox Series X is very nice, but my 3080 is going to beat it. I want to play. For me, what I would theoretically out of technically should be the best version, but if it's going to be that PC Game Pass version, I worry about, some of that jankiness that I've seen in other PC Game Pass titles migrating over to this as well. So, it's a concern. And I don't know what exactly needs to be addressed on a technical level, but it's the Ascent. That's well documented. I had some of my own problems with it, just anecdotally. So yeah, not brilliant. They've got a lot of work to do on the PC side.
I would say again, we're just talking about Jason Ronald. I would love to talk to, I would assume would be his counterpart basically on the PC side for this, as far as, Xbox PC gaming would go, to kind of talk about, where they at roadmap wise for some, because they obviously know this too. I mean, not oblivious to it. But I don't know if they're going to assume that Windows 11 is going to be the magical fix for this. But even if it is, going back to the original point, the majority of your people that are going to be gaming on PC are not going to be on Windows 11 anytime soon. They're going to stay on 10 because 10 is stable and it works. And like you're saying, Gary, if the Steam version works, I'm not going to mess with the Xbox one. That's just how it works. So even in your Halo Infinite scenario we're just talking about, I would, especially the multiplayer, since it's free to play, I'll probably just download the Steam version then, if that's the case, if they're not on par. But
on Windows 11, Parris, I actually wanted to ask you about this, because I don't know if there's like some kind of compatibility tool that you can download, but I'm not even sure if my PC is compatible with Windows 11. I know it requires a particular kind of like piece of hardware, like a piece of security silicon, that I don't even know if my motherboard supports that. So I'm going to need to look into it. But even if it does support it, Parris, you know this, you work in IT, just out, like there are plenty of people out there still on Windows XP. They're very, very slow to upgrade. And this is why we see a lot of security problems out there, because those older platforms are not even supported. I do think you'll see more uptake, just simply because finally Microsoft now has taken a leaf out of Apple's book, and all the OS upgrades are free. Remember when you had to pay $200-$300 to get the latest version of Windows? Now it's free. Thank God. I think that's going to make it a lot easier for people. But for people that rely on their PC, whether it be gaming or because they're streamers or because they do productivity on it and they can't afford to have anything go wrong, the benefit, whatever benefits Windows 11 might confer, especially for gamers, they do seem pretty minimal, are right on day one, are massively outweighed by all the things that could possibly break.
Exactly.
Because Windows 11 doesn't support, let's say Windows 11 doesn't support Streamlabs OBS on day one. I can't stream because I upload now I can't roll it back. So I think I'm perfectly happy. And I usually like to upgrade. I'm like, there's an update. I like to update things like right away. But for something like this, perfectly happy to let other people be the guinea pigs for a while.
Well, I appreciate you two giving us down the breakdown, and thanks, Parris, for the heads up on maybe taking a moment and keeping up with all the news before jumping right in and downloading that. But I'm excited to see what they've created over there, and I look forward to the future over on my PC. Gary, this one's for you. Me and Parris, we love talking sports. I love chopping it up with Parris, and I know you love jumping in the conversation, but you like a different kind of sport. Maybe one that's not as popular here in the USA, but is very popular around the world. And Gary, there's a really cool partnership going on with Xbox and some of your favorite sports.
I saw that with the it showed up in my Twitter feed the other day. There's some kind of marketing sponsorship promotion going on with the Football Association and the England football team, right, in Wembley Stadium. And the England right now, we just played a World Cup qualifier yesterday. We love to follow the England football team, and I'm not exactly sure what this means for gamers, or if it just means that if it's just purely like a marketing thing. But it was nice to see two of my favorite things in the world, Xbox and the England football team, join forces. I don't know what it means for me as a gamer, if it has any like actual tangible benefit. I just thought it was cool. They lit up Wembley Stadium with all the Xbox green lights. It looked cool.
Yeah, it looked really cool, Gary. And I think we'll see what this partnership kind of moves into and progresses and elevates to. But right now, over on the blog post, they wrote, the partnership will see Xbox committing to a grassroots gaming campaign with the FA, bringing exciting experiences for football and gaming fans across the UK. So I'm really excited, like you said, to see what that is, whether it be the stadium be all lit up. Maybe it's free Xbox t-shirts. Maybe they have game stations at the games and you could play over during the halftime of certain moments, but really cool. And I think that's when we can get Parris in the conversation with of like, I love this. I love when my favorite things in the world blend together. And we've talked about it from the awesome collabs that Xbox has had with Nike and the shoes and, LeBron James and the whole marketing of the movie and stuff like that. I love when they bring these and we see the big crossover things we love. And I thought, man, what are some great moments? And I always think of Call of Duty and the NBA always sharing the big Call of Duty launch during the NBA Finals. We get to see football with Monday Night Football coming up. We'll probably see a big spotlight for Halo at one of these things. So I'm really excited to see what that is. But just one of these partnerships that always makes you smile. And I love seeing the things that I love come together. And Parris, I wanted to bring you in of like, what's your thoughts on Xbox and football over in the UK or anything in general?
How come the UK is getting all the cool stuff? They get the Krispy Kreme, now they're getting this. Where are we going to get some? Maybe
I'm still pissed off about those Krispy Kreme donuts. After we mentioned it, I had people in my Twitter feed sending me pictures in the UK. They went and got those donuts. They're like, delicious. Like, fuck you. That's my donuts.
No, but it is cool. I mean, being serious for a second, it's cool to see those collaborations. And like you're saying, NFL season's about to start up. Look, go Bucks. But I would imagine we'll probably see something Xbox related, in the sports world, especially like you said with Halo, because that's going to be a big deal for them at the end of the year.
What's that going to coincide with? I mean, like you'd think about the World Series and things like that, right? There's the NFL season's going to be well underway.
Yeah, NFL will be well underway.
Yeah, with the December 8th release date, that will look at NFL, maybe some sort of NBA game, but NFL will be at its peak at that point, so they'll be looking into that, which will be fun.
I just thought of something. I know this is slightly tangenting from what we're talking about, but it's kind of relevant. We never got to talk about Halo coming December 8th. Oh. How do you guys feel about that?
That's perfect, Parris, because I was going to bring up the Halo block right now, so we can talk about that. So we'll kick it off with the release date, December 8th, 2021. Parris, you know what? I'm just happy to have a release date at this point. I thought we would have gone a little bit sooner. We got the flags planted for Battlefield late October. We saw Call of Duty taking that first time slot in November on that first week. And I thought for sure they'd double down and go with the 20th anniversary, right? I thought that would go hand in hand. You'd hit that. You'd be the last to enter. But, December, a little late in the fall for me personally. I would have preferred a little bit sooner. But you know what? I love the idea. I think it gives them more time to really refine and make sure this campaign is perfect that they want it to be. But December 8th, I'm all right with it. Gary, what you think?
I agree. I think it seems late. Usually when you look at, like what Call of Duty Vanguard just announced, right? Another one of the big holiday titles. That's like a full month earlier. What is that, like early November, right? And typically when you look at these, when the big holiday games come out, the ones that we see, every year, the big contenders, they are generally in that like late October, early November timeframe. They want to hit this is not going to hit Black Friday, right? That's a big opportunity to sell things. Obviously, the big opportunity is to is to sell things in time for Christmas, and it's going to make it just under the wire 2 weeks before Christmas. It tells me the fact that they set it that late tells me that they want and need every last hour and day to get this thing ready to go, that they are crunching right now, that they have to hit this date. I'm sure, I hope they're not crunching. I hope that, this is not one of those, we're going to hear the situations about developers, being put through hell to get a game out on time, because they cannot miss this date. They missed it last year. Now's the 20th anniversary. This December 8th is like as hard a date as you're ever going to get. It is absolutely unthinkable that they miss this date, so they've got to hit it. They must be confident that they can, but again, the fact that they set it late tells me that they are going to be crunching right until the last minute. Also makes me worry a little bit about who's manning the shifts over Christmas, right? Because there's going to be patches, there's going to be multiplayer server issues, there's going to be day 1, day 2, there's going to be all kinds of patches. I worry about who's going to have to give up their holidays in order to make sure that Halo doesn't ruin anyone's Christmas, that the servers are up, that any patches or instability issues they're able to respond to those with patches quickly. It's really going to go to the wire, but I'm glad there's a date. I'm excited to play it. I'm still bummed about the co-op campaign, because that was how I wanted to play it. I really wanted to, again, playing Aliens Fireteam and playing these other kind of co-op campaign games. I enjoy that so much more. I actually might sit on the campaign and wait until the co-op patch comes out. I know.
I can't do it, Gary. I'm right there with you, Gary, of like, I want to wait. This is supposed to be me and my friends doing crazy things, going into different bases from all sorts of angles. I can't do it though, Gary. I gotta experience this story. I can't
No,
wait.
you got to do it. And I'm talking a big fight, but the reality is I'll probably be playing. I'm just selecting super easy mode campaign December 8th. Like I'll be there because I'm gonna want to play it. The multiplayer, which again is obviously the really compelling factor for most Halo fans, I think is going to be there. They got to hit it. It's they've put down their mark at December 8th. I think it is. If you look at every other big game, for me, it would have been if there's like a romantic date, it would have been October 22nd. That's the actual 20th anniversary, right? They obviously didn't feel like they could hit it. And again, if you look at the past big holiday releases, whether it be Call of Duties or prior Halos or whatever that have come out in the holiday period, December's real late. You usually expect like late October, early November for these games to hit, so they can also get that Thanksgiving, buying frenzy window. It's going to be tight. I mean, I'm confident they can do it, but they've got to be like eyes on the clock 24/7 over there right now to get it done on time.
How does Techland feel about this right now? Because Dying Light 2 is December 7th, so I'm sure they're like, hey, thanks. I feel like they might delay it, or speaking of Dying Light 2 because of that, but maybe not, since it's a third-party game, it'll be on other platforms. But I mean, me personally, when the news came and we saw it was December 8th, I mean, I shouldn't say I was surprised, but I was really thinking it was going to be November 15th. I just thought they were going to do the whole 20-year thing. So to see...
Oh, is it? Wait, why was I saying October 22nd earlier?
Yeah, I caught that too, and I thought maybe you meant November 22nd because wasn't that the 360 launch? I think it was.
Yeah, you know what? I'm perfectly willing to admit that I probably got my dates mixed up. Then my point in principle, Parris, is the same. That to hit that date, the actual 20th anniversary date of the... I've got to Google it now because I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on a second. Hold on. Original Xbox.
Why are you doing that? I'll finish my point.
Let's get this right.
He's in
November. No, you get it right. November 15th, 2001. So that would have been the romantic date to hit, right? And the fact that they're missing it by 3 weeks tells me, Parris, that they really need that extra 3 weeks.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I agree. It tells me exactly what you're saying, that they need every last second of that to make sure that they're getting it out on December 8th. Or maybe, try look on the positive side. Maybe they decided, hey, getting in on the 15th would have been a little too hot. So let's give ourselves a few week buffer in case there's some last minute bug that comes up, things like that. I mean, obviously we'll never know the 100% true story behind it, but I'm not concerned. I'm just going to be cautious because like I've said a million times before, the game has to come in. That story has to come in great. That multiplayer has to come in and be solid. And to your point, Gary, I mean, they can't risk there being a lot of major issues over the holidays. So I'm sure it's going to be all hands on deck through that as well to make sure that they're able to jump in any hot fixes they need to do right away. But if they can nail it, if they can hit it, despite all this leading up to it, because even Joe Staten came out and said that this is why you haven't seen any new footage or like a trailer or anything like that, because they don't want to take any resources away from actually finishing the game. And you have to respect that if they're going to hit that date and that's what they need to do, just simply do it. It is interesting that the Halo Series X and that a Halo Elite controller are coming on the 15th on the anniversary. So at least they can do something around the 20th anniversary.
They get to mark the occasion with something.
Yeah.
That could, by the way, that controller.
Oh, we're going to talk about that, Gary. That's a hot controller. I will quickly jump in on that release date. Talking about that and breaking down the dates. It's interesting from a different side as a consumer and a gamer that loves the first-person shooters. And I think of the years back when we've had the big triple release window. I think this is actually might be beneficial for Halo to come in on December 8th, because as you know, a lot of these kids are going to come out there and they're going to burn it. They're going to write and they're going to play a bunch of it right off the bat. And that means Battlefield and Call of Duty. I'll give you 2 to 3 strong weeks of playing that game. And then I'm going to kind of run the course of, I'm looking for the next thing, or I want something different to mix it up a little bit. And Halo, I think releasing quite a ways away from both of those titles might have some good breathing room where, hey, did you feel that during November? You had fun during your holidays? Well, this next holiday, we're going to give you something even better, something new to go jump into. And it might be beneficial for them to take a little bit of time away.
I don't know. I think I was actually thinking almost the opposite in terms of, by the way, so here's where I may have got October 22nd from. That's when Battlefield 2042 drops. And then Vanguard is November 5th.
Right.
And then you've got Halo a full month after that. Halo fans are gonna go wait for Halo, and they're gonna get Halo. But for anyone just kind of like looking at all their shooter options this holiday, Battlefield 42 looks pretty sick. Vanguard looks really good. You got Halo over here. Both Battlefield and Call of Duty, for those shooter players who might be persuadable and are going to buy just one, maybe two games at most for the holidays, Halo coming in last over the line is maybe not great, because maybe people do, who you don't want to wait, just grab one of the games that comes out earlier, and by the time Halo comes around, they're already invested in whatever game they've already played. They've ranked up, they've got their buddies playing, and they're already in the ecosystem. So I don't think there's a strong argument to say, oh, there's a really good reason why this game's coming out as late as it is. I think if you ask Phil Spencer, if he could wave a magic wand, he'd be bringing it out earlier, I'm sure.
Oh, I agree with
that. You think so too, Parris?
Yeah, because I mean, November 15th would have been the day. That's what
has
of
course.
Always
That's the romantic day.
Yeah. And now there's another thing, and I don't know how much this will factor into it as far as taking any attention away from it or whatever, but high chance the Game Awards is probably the next day on December 9th, because that's typically around the time that Keighley does the Game Awards. And obviously everyone's going to want to be talking about that and celebrating, all the other games that have already come out during the year. Clearly Halo is not going to be a part of that Game of the Year discussion because it's coming out too late. So be interesting to see what Xbox does around that as well, because maybe you use the Game Awards as a way to keep the conversation going about Halo. Like, oh, Halo just launched the day before, and and here's Joe Staten talking about whatever, So I mean, it'll be interesting to see. But kind of really circling back to something Gary touched on with the co-op thing, because the past couple of weeks since that news has come out, I've seen both sides of that argument. I'm still on the side that I've never played a Halo campaign co-op to start. I always do it solo. I always do it on heroic to start, and then later on I do co-op for legendary. So I can wait, but I get the people that have literally had their years of Halo, their experiences of Halo, their magical moments of Halo being around that co-op and not having it at launch is a bummer. But I still stick with the fact that the two core elements of the game, again, if they're polished, ready to go, fully functional, are going to be there on December 8th. And I think that matters more than just having the online co-op feature. That I just don't think it's smart business. Like imagine if they delayed Halo all the way to March, because that's basically when we're going to get the co-op now, right? Not good. Not good.
Yeah,
because,
and the more I think about it, Parris, the more I think you're right. I'm absolutely going to be playing the co-op day one, because you're not going to want to wait. You're going to want to be part of the conversation. You got to duck those spoilers, right? Because if you're not up with the conversation, there's going to be spoilers dropping over the holiday period. Yeah. And we all want to play it. So and you can play the co-op. The single player campaign at your own pace. Watch the cinematics. Play it as you want. And then when March rolls around, like you said, maybe get enough times pass that you get to kind of experience it all over again with your friends at a higher difficulty level. I feel like I'm trying to rationalize it a little bit here, like they're trying to make the best of it. But the point is this. You're right. It's not great. I think you can take two things here. That it's shipping. Again, look at the other two big games that this window are shipping significantly sooner, 6 weeks and a month ahead. The other two big shooters, the big AAA shooters. So this is coming in way late, and I wouldn't call it a first order feature. I would say single player campaign and multiplayer are first order features. Co-op campaign, I think, is a second order feature, but it's still a big one. The disappointment when they announced it wasn't going to be there is palpable, and so the fact that they are shipping without a major feature and shipping way late, again, taken all together, they are really under the gun to get this out on time, and they clearly had to make some compromises both on the ship date and the feature set.
Exciting either way, because now we know the release date, and we got a lot of factors into it, right? Game Pass, free to play multiplayer, out in a whole lot of locations for people to get their hands on. We'll see what happens. But let's switch gears and let's talk about celebrating that 20th anniversary. This is something we've wanted to see. This is something we've now gotten. We got a controller and a special edition console. So, Gary, they heard your calls, but a little bit different, guys. And I want to talk about that. Let's go to the controller first. The controller, an Xbox Elite Series 2. Not many Elite Series 2 custom controllers like this before. What did you think about that color?
As an avid collector, as I guess I have now become, I'm very, very interested in it. I actually really do like the aesthetic. Just that gold D-pad alone has got me sold. That is a thing of beauty. And I'm guessing technically this isn't. I actually don't like. I have a regular Elite Series 2, but I don't use it very much because it doesn't have that share button that they added for the Series S and X controllers. That button in the middle is actually a profile switcher button. So I'm guessing this actually is like whatever they want to call it. Maybe it's like 2 Plus or 2A or whatever, but that it's going to have that. If it's a true Series S, Series X controller, it's going to have that share button in the middle. So it will be from a hardware perspective slightly different, even if in just that one way. Maybe it has again that more kind of that kind of rough sandpapery grip that the Series X controller has. It looks really, really nice. I really, really want it, but $200 is a lot of money. And when I thought maybe I went on the pre-order page and it was gone already. So even if I can sell myself on the $200, I don't know if I can even get one. Like it seems like but both the console and the controller were out of stock almost immediately. High demand.
High demand for this hot piece of hardware right there. Parris, what did you think about the controller?
I mean, same. I want it definitely.
Yeah.
I think it looks really dope. But the same scenario. I tried to pre-order it. It was chaos, and I just gave up. And I go, it's not going to be in the cards for me. But it looks great. I mean, the console also looks great. It's cool to see that. And actually, now we've seen a couple different ones. These custom Series X consoles are coming out now, themed consoles. So cool thing. Obviously, I don't expect there's going to be too many of them out in the wild. But I guess the more interesting question, like just sticking with the Halo one, will they continue to make that going into 2022, or is it just like a limited 20-year anniversary run and they're done? Because you got to imagine a lot of people that are still wanting to get a Series X that can't get one. If it's an option on the table for them, they'll probably just go grab that, instead of the regular one.
I think it's going to be a limited run. I think it's going to be very hard to find. It's probably going to be a collector's item. I wasn't as enamored by the aesthetic of the console as I was by the controller. The controller I think is absolutely gorgeous. The skinned box, I was like, sure, why not? But like, I didn't like it as much as I've liked some of the Halo themed special edition consoles they've done over the years with the kind of the marine green. I would like to have seen the Xbox with the same aesthetic as the controller, where they leaned into the green and gold a little more. I still think it looks good. It's going to be hard to find. It's going to be an attractive item, not just because it's a special edition, because doesn't it also there's a pack-in digital copy of the game as well. Again, that's not a huge deal because it's on Game Pass anyway, but still nice to have. Good luck finding one over the holidays. Mike, I got to ask you what your plan is, because surely there's going to be no scenario where you don't end up with at least a controller. You've got to have one of these things.
I am happy to report I got one up on my two gaming dads. I have both the controller and the console.
Of course,
shout out to a kind of funny best friend for helping me get the console.
Oh, wow.
But I will say I got them both, and I had to have them. They're very exciting. The controller is perfect. I love the look of the controller. I like that amber gold, like you touched on the D-pad. And it's also one of those, Parris and Gary, where it's like, that controller is so nice. Is that supposed to just be like a looking piece now? Like, am I really supposed to put my grubby hands on that controller? I don't know if I can.
I think you're going to want to play with it, but you're going to want to like wipe it down with the wet wipes and, clean it up before it goes back in the case every time.
I love the console, shifting gears to the consoles. I want to talk about that look, Gary, because like you said, I was really looking forward to them doubling down on either that Spartan Master Chief green and we double down on the Halo look, or maybe we go towards the Xbox look. And it's much different than that, right? It's kind of got that Starry Night look on the top, maybe the Zeta Halo ring down below on the bottom. And I like the look. I don't love it. I think I would have preferred a little bit more of like, hey, let's go all in on the Halo green and the Xbox green. But it is a very good looking console. And I'm excited to get it in my hands, see what it looks like live and in action. But they heard our wishes, right? We wanted to celebrate the 20th anniversary with some cool hardware, and they came out swinging with the series, with the Elite Series 2 controller. I didn't think they would do that, and I'm really pleased they did because I love the normal controllers, but it's nothing compared to the Elite controllers. They truly are the best. The price point I know is outrageous, but it's so great. Guys, let's round out the show. I got one more fun one. I want to end with a smile because I've missed you both so much. It's great to have you and Barrett rocking with me right now. And so I'm going to give you a fun one. And this one is from GameSpot right now by Eddie Machuk. And the title of the story is called Xbox Exec, Please Don't Name Your Child Game Pass, is what the story reads. And so I wanted to read this out to you from Eddie because it's so good. And so the story goes like this. During a live stream at Gamescom on Friday, Xbox marketing boss Aaron Greenberg said he advises against naming your child, quote, Game Pass, end quote. The quote reads, I also ask that no one name their baby Game Pass, Greenberg said. This wasn't a total unprompted and random comment. Greenberg offered up his sage advice after the other interview guest, Pete Hines of Bethesda, shared a story of a woman who went into labor during a Skyrim presentation at QuakeCon 2011. One of the interviewers joked that the family might have named their baby Dovahkiin after the game, of course. That didn't actually happen, but Hines said someone did in fact legally name their child Dovahkiin, and he made good on the promise to give that family free Bethesda games for life.
Wow.
So I wanted to make sure we ended with a smile because that's outrageous, right? We've heard some weird names. You know, Khaleesi was a hot one, the mother of dragons, as we moved forward with Game of Thrones. But Dovahkiin, the Dragonborn. So Gary and Parris, I got to ask you, you guys both have kids out there, and thankfully you didn't name them the Dovahkiin, not to be mean or anything, but if you could name them after one video game character, is there one that you would have leaned towards?
Ooh, that is a fascinating question. Let me think.
Think about that. I wrote down a couple of good ones here.
This isn't a serious one, but we've been wrapped up in Psychonauts. Like Raz is just a cool.
Raz is a good name.
Raz
Thank
is
you.
a cool name.
Raz is a great one.
There's plenty of good ones out there. Zelda's very popular. Robin Williams really did that.
Mm-hmm.
I like Alex with a Y from Half-Life. That could be a cool name.
That's good. That's good. That's easy. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I wrote down Samus, Laura for Lara Croft, Marcus Phoenix, Cloud, Ezio, Cortana. I think Cortana could go.
That's what I was going to say.
She's-
Cortana.
Did you see that? You mentioned I was going to if you've got like you can't say here Cortana, like you'd be setting off your voice activated shit all day. Amazon pretty much killed Alexa as a girl's name. The name just dropped off the list because they've made it completely unviable. If you've got any of that shit in your house,
I can't. I wouldn't be able to take anybody seriously with the name Cloud.
No, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I shouldn't say. One of my friends is named Seven, so I can't.
Oh, wow, Seven, really?
Yeah, it's a cool fucking name.
Yeah.
As someone named Parris, nothing's off the table. That's all I'm saying.
I'm gonna throw one at you that I actually like that I think could work for a boy or a girl. Ness from Earthbound.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ness is cool. I like that. Gary.
Also for the Nintendo Entertainment System. There you go.
Well, yeah, so it works both ways, right?
Dang, that's good. So something fun to end the show with. What would you name your child if it was in the video game world? I'm going to double down on Cortana. I like Cortana. Yeah. I also like BJ Bernardo in our live chat right now watching over on Patreon writes, what has a good ring to it? Mike GP Howard for Mike Game Pass Howard. I like that. I like that right there. Thank you, BJ. And with that, we're going to get the heck out of here. It's a long holiday weekend coming right now for Labor Day weekend. It's time to say goodbye to summer. So go outside, enjoy that summer sun just a little bit, play some games for that extra long weekend, have some fun. And of course, most importantly, call somebody you love. After being evacuated from Tahoe, I know one thing, and that is all about communication right now. Calling the people you love, giving an update on your life, and just letting them know that you're all right. So thank you to everybody that has reached out to me no matter where you are, I truly appreciate your care, your love, and your support. Thank you to Gary, Parris, and Barrett and the Kind of Funny team for taking me in and having a good week with me. Guys, it's been so great to hear both of your voices. I missed you so much. It's nice to be back on the Kind of Funny Xcast talking games. And with that, let's get the heck out of here. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back next week for more Xbox news. Peace.